Hi friends, it's Belinda here from BMakingJoy. Welcome to episode 44 of What Brings Me Joy, a mostly knitting podcast from my home here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, where I share with you my knitting journey, my finished objects, works in progress, things I cast on, so that you can hold me accountable for the many things I cast on. So if you're new here, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, I'm so glad to have you back. I really appreciate your support and encouragement. I'm recording this on Monday, December the 9th, 2024. And in this episode, I have one finished object to share and significant progress on about 3 of my other WIPs that I'd like to show you. So first, a little update. Not much has happened in the last 2.5 weeks since the last episode. I'm currently running test knits for 2 upcoming patterns. I've had a hearing test, very little change in my hearing, but my devices are failing. So yeah, these are only 7 years old, but they're having trouble differentiating between the conversations in front of me and the background noise. So lately I've been finding crowds very overwhelming. So those advanced features apparently are failing. So I've got new ones on order. Stupid expensive they are. But it's amazing apparently how much advance there's been in the industry. How much technology advances. They're using AI now to really lower that background noise by another 20 decibels. So that should be helpful. And let's see, coincidentally, I also took a friend to her hearing appointment this week. Last week. The week before, I drove up to Edmonton one night and back again the next day. I went up to help my daughter with something. I haven't been to any hockey games these last 2 weeks because they either they fall on the same night as my congregation meeting or my Bible study, or my husband's friend has the tickets. I did finish the materials for my Knitting Guilds of America Professional Knitwear Designer Certification course and handed that in, emailed it off. I've already received some feedback on some corrections that I need to make and resend. It's a course where you don't get a percentage mark like we did back in school. You are told what you need to improve on until your work is perfect, I guess, or satisfactory. So I have to resubmit that. I also have to send in my finished knitting project, which I made a sock for, which I need to mail to my instructor in the US, and I've been stalling on that because of the Canada Post strike. It's still ongoing. It's been a month now. All the other couriers are much more expensive and falling behind. So I've been stalling on that. Yeah, I think that's all I have for life updates. So let's get started with my finished object. It's on the mannequin. Veronica is wearing it, so let me just go take it off. Oh, my Snowflake Throw is now finished. And let me open it up here. And I've decided to call it the Fun in the Snow Circular Throw. And thank you to my mother for the Fun in the Snow suggestion. So it's so nice to have it finally off the needles. I've been working on it for a year. I paced myself adding one color at a time. And I gotta admit that I cord bind off without 1,500 stitches on the final round of bind off. It took me over 10 hours of TV watching to do, but I think it was worth it. So it's so nice to have it off the needles. It's 5 feet in diameter. My theme was there's a center snowflake. It's a snow day. The kids go out and make snow angels and then snowmen, and then the snow starts falling again as the sun starts to set. I used a total of 600 grams of yarn. I used 12 50-gram skeins, but you could choose whatever color combination you'd like. Totaling up to 600 grams of yarn, which was that 2,700 and something yards it was. All the information will be in the pattern. So the test knit is running now. Usually I wait for the tech editor to get her feedback back to me before I start the test knit, but I was eager to get this pattern out into the world while it's still winter here in the Northern Hemisphere. So I started the test knit. Still waiting on the tech editor's response. So it's in her queue. And yeah, and there's still room in the test knit for a few more to join us. It's on yarnpond.com. If you have any other questions, you can just reach out and ask. I can't think of anything else that I wanted to say about it. If you've been following me, I've been talking about it all year, and I'm so in love with it. I could fold it over in half and wrap it around as a shawl, but that means the snowman will be upside down, but that's okay. It's still beautiful. Or I could spread it across the bed, or a tablecloth. I have a round table in our dining room, and I'm going to put it on there after we finish playing with it. And I went out and bought a clear plastic round tablecloth to put over it. So, but I'm wondering now what I can do to get rid of all the creases. Maybe a hair dryer to smooth out the creases. We'll see. Anyway, so that's my finished object. I am so in love with it. Okay, works in progress. The project that I spent the most time knitting on in the last 2 weeks is my trainer cloak. It's a pattern that I've got in the test knit phase. The original is now on the mannequin. The original was done in a Pokemon theme, hence the reason I named the pattern Trainer Cloak for my daughter. And the back of the hood is a Pokeball design, and that graph is also going to be included in the pattern. But we can also do the pattern in just solid colors. So that's what I'm working on now for myself. And I am, once it stops rolling and stretched out, I'm about at the point where I'm going to put in the armholes. So it's a cloak using, it's a cloak using fingering weight yarn. I'm using for this one the base from Ancient Arts Yarns is called Lasco Fine, and it's nope, my notes are not telling me what the breakdown is. The label will. It's 25% Manx Lohan and 75% Punta Arenas wool. So it's a really nice woolly wool. My body color is Kismet, and the button band and the hood will be in the color Baby Aubergine. So the test knit hopefully will be done in the middle of January, although I will acknowledge that doing miles and miles of stockinette is time consuming, but it's perfect mindless knitting. Yeah, we're using 2.75 millimeter needles, fingering weight yarn. I chose this gauge so that it would be a denser fabric, more appropriate for outerwear. I think that's all the details. Enjoying working on it, except that since it's a woolly wool, about 10 rows is about all I can handle a day. And now I got myself all twisted up in the yarn. But this got too big to carry around, take 2 places. And I realized that all of my projects were too big to take places. So I needed a new purse project. So we have a new cast on. I needed something to have for emergency knitting in my purse. So I cast on a Sophie Scarf. The pattern is by Petite Knits. It increases to a certain width and then decreases. And I am using DMC yarn that I bought in Prague. Yarn that's actually made in Italy. And this is Baby Cashmere Merino Silk. And the base is called Holly, I think. And there's no color, it's just a shade number 277. So it's nice and soft. I'm almost, I think, to the halfway point. I've weighed my ball before I began to make sure that I'm not going to run out of yarn. I weighed the ball when I began. Then I'm going to weigh it at about the halfway point, make sure that I still have half the amount of yarn left when I reach the halfway point. If not, I can modify, right? So, yeah, the 50-gram ball, I've got 29 grams left now. So a few more increased rounds and we'll weigh it again. So no sooner did I get this all set up and the needles out than I had an emergency where I had to use it. I went up to my daughter's in Edmonton to help her and found myself sitting in a waiting room. So I was knitting on that. I also took my friend to her hearing appointment last week, as I told you. So I was knitting on it then. So I think it was just those 2 times I was knitting on it, and I'm really coming along. But we went to the movies, me and a couple of friends. I didn't mention that in the update. And I realized when the lights went out, I couldn't knit on that because you need to count and increase every, I think it's 8 rows. Yeah, it's 8 rows. So I couldn't do it in the dark. So I needed something new for in the dark knitting. So, you guessed it, I cast on something else. I decided I needed a sock on the go. And I started another sock of the same pattern as the one that I did for the TKGA course. You might remember, and I brought them here to show you, back in the spring I made a pair of socks for my daughter, knee-high socks. And we had played around from a book, Socks a la carte, to find out what toe and heel that she likes and for her sensitivities, and then made the pattern with that. So I wrote the pattern for the course, and then that's why you haven't seen anything further on it. But with the postal strike and it being close to Christmas, not too keen on sending these off in the mail because she's been wearing them. She loves them. So I started making another pair of the same pattern. So we're using a star toe, a stepping out heel, and I have made it to the point where I'm going to turn the heel. It didn't actually make it into my first knitting. As I said previously with the cloak, after about 10 rows I've had it for the day, so I've been working on these. So yeah, I'm ready to turn the heel now. I am using sock needle from Ancient Arts Yarns. This is the color Lapis Lazuli. And then the leg, and then for the leg I'm going to use this color, also from Ancient Arts Yarns. This was the color of the month in 2023. It's labeled COTM09, so I think it was the 9th month of 2023. And it's Colosseum at Dusk, Rome. So I think that would be a good pairing. So I'm kind of thinking I want to get this done before the postal strike is over and send this one off to my instructor. I popped her an email. We'll see if she has a comment on that, or if she actually wants to see the original. It's the season of Porch Pirates, so I'm not too keen of sending off Ilana's socks. Of course, I can get more yarn to make another pair, but I have so many things I want to make. So the intention with these socks is to do the feet in a solid color so that our single special skein of variegated yarn can reach to the knees. And then the trim again gets done in the solid color. And I also designed it with eyelets in the cuff so that she could thread these cute little ties through it. So this hits right just above the knee. Looks so cute on her. I'll briefly show you my Milton cardigan too, since it's here. I added a few more rounds to the sleeve. So the second sleeve. Those first sleeve's already done. I'm upside down. There we go. So the Milton cardigan pattern by Joji Locatelli. I'm looking forward to it as a dress-up cardigan. It's using the gray as a sport weight fiber natura in the colorway marble, and the blue is a lace weight Manos de Uruguay in the color Atlantis, I believe. So a little bit further, bit by bit, when we finish the cloak, I will pound this one out right next and finish it. Yeah. So on to my WIP count update. Let's keep track of how many projects I've got going. Last episode I had 9 UFOs or WIPs, works in progress. That was last episode. Yeah, I have since finished the Snowflake Throw, but I have cast on 2 new things. So my WIP count is now back up to 10. But, you know, I feel like it was necessary, right? I needed that purse project, and then I need these socks done. Okay, so let's move on to acquisitions. I picked up a couple of things from Mary Maxim, and then I have the December color of the month from Ancient Assurance for you. So I got a box of stuff from Mary Maxim, which is a mail order company here in Canada that's been operating for a few generations. I can't remember how long. And when they announced they had a Black Friday special, Cyber Monday, Black Friday, the whole weekend, $4.99 shipping, I jumped on and got an order. Mary Maxim is not being affected by the Canada Post strike because they, about a year ago, switched to a different courier company. And don't know the name of the courier. It's not one of their big ones, not their own shipping company. I don't know. Anyway, so the order came quite quickly. And the reason I jumped on to place the order is because I wanted a pocket size digital scale so that it can come in my purse along with the Sophie Scarf, and I can weigh it and make sure I'm not going past the halfway point in my ball of yarn. So I haven't opened this yet. There we go. Little scale with a cover, and the cover, I guess, can be your tray. And looks like I might have to get batteries. Yep, there's a battery compartment. But we'll play with that later and get that one set up and ready. And then another thing I ordered was a knitting gauge and yarn cutter. So it's got a slicer on the bottom for cutting the yarn, and all the needle size gauges, the reading your, counting your stitches gauge, and a ruler down the side. And it's all in inches though, there's no centimeters. Oh no, this is centimeters. It's only marked every 5. No, that's not right. That's... Put on your glasses, Belinda, and take a proper look. Yeah, it's only marked in inches. That's okay. And it's only got the US and the imperial markings, not the millimeters for the needle sizes. Interesting coming from a Canadian company. But that's okay. It's still going to be very useful for this measuring my gauge on smaller, like my socks. And then yarn, Peyton's Croy, some discontinued colors they had on sale. So I got red. I got 4 skeins of red. My daughter's favorite color is red. And I have in mind of making little hearts as well as socks. And this one, I won't bother reading the name of the colors for you because they are discontinued anyway. But I'll show them. So, probably future socks. Because I've decided that's the best purse project, is a sock. And I got a toiletry bag, which I could use as a project bag. And it's fairly large. Got another zipper in the front. Purple, my favorite color. I don't know if I'll use it as a toiletry bag or a project bag, but either way, I'm loving it. It's pretty. Yeah, that's the Mary Maxime order. So let me pack that back up out of the way, and then we'll get to the Ancient Arts Yarns color of the month. So I opened the package on this ruler and turned it around. The other side is metric. Yay! So well done. I apologize for my criticism. And this scale actually came with batteries. I just needed to pull out the little plastic tab from the battery compartment. And it works. And I've played with it, compared with my bigger scale. The measurements are the same, so I trust it. Except my bigger scale goes to 2 decimal points, and this one's only going to 1 decimal point, but that's okay. It's perfect for my needs. It was $5.99 from Mary Maxime. And now for the December color of the month from Ancient Arts Yarns. And I know some of you leave as soon as you see this color, while as some of you like to hear me read the inspiration of Caroline's, the letter from Caroline of her inspiration. So if you choose to leave now, that's fine. Just let me say happy crafting and go make some joy. Here's the December color of the month. Her theme for 2024 was flowers and artwork. This is the final installation for 2024. I haven't heard yet what her theme is for 2025. But this one is Margaret Ollie Winter Flowers 1965. Let me put on my glasses and read you all about Margaret Ollie. Margaret Hannah Ollie, 24th of June 1923 to the 26th of July 2011, was an influential painter from Australia who specialized in still life and interior scenes. Born in the town of Lismore, She went on to study art in the cities of Brisbane and Sydney. Not limiting herself to painting, she also explored theater set design during her career. She associated with renowned artists like Sidney Nolan, Russell Drysdale, and Donald Friend. Her first solo exhibition was held in 1948, and one of the pieces from this show, a self-portrait titled Portrait in the Mirror, 1948, became part of the art gallery of NSW's collection. After this, she traveled to Europe in 1949, where she studied in Paris and held her first exhibition there in 1952. On her return to Australia, she was commissioned to paint murals and also painted landscapes and still lifes. Ollie became a very influential and important artist and philanthropist. James V. Duhigg, reporting on her 1962 sellout show at Johnston Gallery in Brisbane, wrote, "Margaret Ollie has reached the flood tide of her art and has stepped up to the top rank of our artists," noting also that all the paintings sold at preview for a gross of £3,000. Whatever that symbol is, look at a pound, I don't know. Then an Australian record for a woman. She was generous with her work and her support of the arts. Her philanthropic efforts included donations of works of art to the Art Gallery of New South Wales worth over $7 million. In 1964, Ollie bought a terrace house and adjoining former hat factory in Duxford Street in the inner Sydney suburb of Paddington. This home and studio became almost as famous as the artist herself. With richly colored walls, it was jam-packed with thousands of objects, many of which featured as subjects in her artworks. It appeared chaotic, but actually was arranged by the artist like a still life. Although Ollie traveled worldwide, her artwork primarily reflected her immediate environment. She continued painting and exhibiting her work till the early 2000s. She was honored with the Order of Australia in 1991 and 1996. A portrait of Ollie even won the prestigious Archibald Prize in 2011. After she passed away, her home and studio were replicated at the Tweed River Art Gallery. She set up the Margaret Ollie Art Trust and held more than 90 solo exhibitions in her lifetime. She was given multiple honorary doctorate degrees, and in 1991, in the Queen's Birthday Honours List, Ollie was made an Officer of the Order of Australia for service as an artist and to the promotion of art. In 2006, she was awarded Australia's highest civilian honour, the Companion of the Order, for service as one of Australia's most distinguished artists, for support and philanthropy to the visual and performing arts, and for encouragement of young and emerging artists. When Margaret Ollie's Winter Flowers, 1965, and I'll put the picture up, comes from a richly fertile period in her career. Her exhibition at the Macquarie Galleries in Sydney in 1961 was met with public and critical acclaim, and she also garnered many notable prizes between 1962 and 1965. Most notably the Red Cliff Prize twice, the Perth Helena Rubinstein Portrait Award, and the 1965 Bendigo Art Prize with Summer Flowers, the larger companion piece to Winter Flowers. Over the next few years, her solo exhibitions were anchored around still lives, which served as a stable inspiration, allowing her to remain apart from the late modernism trend then dominating the art world. Ollie worked on multiple paintings at a time in order to maintain balance and give herself time to appreciate all the elements of each work. It's kind of like us working on multiple knitting projects at a time, right? Where was I? She was said to paint in a symphonic manner, and indeed her works are rich and detailed. Although Ollie claims she was not a botanical artist as such, Winter Flowers clearly features snow-capped daisies, orange honeysuckles, and Chinese lanterns, all depicted with an attention to detail that enables their easy identification. So there's the picture. There's the yarn. What do you think? So yeah, obviously that's where I end for today. Thank you for watching, and whatever you do, happy knitting, happy crocheting, jigsaw puzzling, baking, whatever craft it is you like to do, go make some joy.